Delighted to be talking to Barry Corless. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Barclay.
Good to see you. Good to be talking to people in the flesh again.
Indeed, yeah.
And how have you found that today? Have you been out and about with clients much?
I've really had a good time. It's almost like I've not been away. I was sat in. I hated to say it to him, to David Wright from the SDI, and I just felt myself kind of going a little bit, and I've forgotten just how tiring these trade shows are.
They are
when you're there all day.
That's why I'm sitting down. That's why I bought the ball as well for the back. But so, and you've just moved into a new role with CGI.
Yeah.
We're just starting that. Is that consulting or is it advising?
That's the service advisory practice that's grown from a handful of people a couple of years ago into the low hundreds now, and just news of another big win today that I'm going to be leading on in the SIAM area. So very, very positive. Been there about 2 months now.
Are you finding that? I mean, is that because you were out your own for a while, weren't you?
Yeah. I was doing a little bit of consulting work with in the nuclear sector. Spent about 14 months in program management there, and then this opportunity came up with CGI, and the whole thing from interest to job offer took about 10 days. So I think we'd found a marriage made in heaven with a little bit of luck.
Brilliant. I mean, Barry, you've been around in the industry a long time. You've seen it going through various phases. I mean, where do you think we are now? What do you think we are? Do you think we're in a good place in service management industry? I mean, are there things that we're not doing that we should be doing, for example?
To be honest, I think we're in we've always been in a state of transition, and to be honest, we cope quite well. I think the one thing as an industry now, and I'll particularly sort of mention ITIL as part of that, we've realised that we're not the only game in town, and we've started to broaden and look a lot wider for where the best practice might come from, and I think we're a better industry for that.
That's a really good point. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that we rubbish all the stuff that we've done, but there's a bigger world out there.
Well, I think what I've said is that where in service management we used to say, come on guys, come and link with us. Now we're actually going the other way and saying, well, actually, how should we be? We should be looking at scaled Agile. We should be looking at DevOps. We should, whatever it happens to be. Actually, how do we go and link with them? How do we interface with them? How do we become one whole?
Yeah. That's a really good point. Do you think that there's some of the other discussion is talking about how we embed, because there's also this problem about we still get asked a lot of the same questions that we've been asked for a long time, and do you think that will help with that? I mean, do you think that's been part of our problem, being a bit insular?
To be honest, I genuinely think that the attitude that I've always had is I'll go into an organisation, I'll quite genuinely say to them, it's very, 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 very unlikely that you're going to say something to me that I've not heard before on an individual basis. But what I won't have heard is all your particular setup, your makeup, what your restrictions are, what your customers want, what your services need to be like. So on an individual basis, I've seen all your building blocks. What I've never seen before is the way that they're constructed for you. And I think part of the trouble we've had in the past is we've gone into organisations thinking, right, this is what we're going to impose on them, without thinking about all those. We've equated all those individual blocks to, we've seen all this before, when we probably hadn't.
So as you say, the opening out and being a bit humble about that, and just expressing the fact that we don't know every situation. What about new things that are useful or interesting, not just shiny? Have you embraced any new ideas or concepts?
In the last, although it's been there and bubbling under for a few years now, I was at a virtual conference, the SIAM one, 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a bit longer than that, and the word there and the word here have been exactly the same: experience. And I'd talked for a long time about experience, all the way from how does somebody find out about your organisation and your services, right the way through to them saying, wow, they're great guys, and becoming an advocate for your organisation. But everybody now is suddenly into this place where that experience is becoming so much bigger. It's not just about, and I think you've been one of the biggest exponents of it, the watermelon SLA, the green on the outside and red on the inside. It's about that whole experience. And people have said to me, well, how do you encapsulate that, Barry? I said, well, very, very, in some ways, very easily, because I'll say to, well, look, how many times have you gone to an organisation and you put a complaint in, or you've got straight away, you've got that email back that says, thank you, Mr. Customer, we'll deal with your complaint, and their SLA is green. Yeah, they've got back to you in less than 5 minutes, and they're very, very happy with themselves. But you sit there a little bit deflated. Well, hang on, Mr. Customer, that's not very personal, is it? And so the SLA and the experience are two completely different things. And now we're in that place where the experience is becoming more and more important, not just to customers, but I think inside of organisations. The experience that people expect of their own IT systems is actually similar to the experience they expect of commercial systems externally. So it's a bit long-winded answer, but experience has been where it's at for me, Barclay.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems to be a very strong theme. I mean, I hope it will be something that sticks as well. I mean, if we're talking about
genuinely
how we get things to stick. Okay, and then just sort of finally looking forward, I mean, do you think there's if we're saying that we've coped with some things well, and we actually are now looking out a bit more, what else do you think needs to happen in the next couple of years, or what's the next thing coming?
Yeah, well, to be honest, it's almost a continuation. I think in the same way that we've gone from SLA to experience, we need to continue to see a bigger and bigger and bigger picture. Going away from the idea of IT service management to enterprise service management. If you look at all of the things that have happened in service management in the last probably 10 years, they've all about been expanding service management's footprint and getting it closer to all the other parts of the ecosystem that exist around it. So I think it's just what the next actual specific will be, I'm not sure, but it's going to be, or ought to be, in that expansion.
Expanding world of service management.
Indeed.
Okay, that's great, Barry. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Barclay.
Good to talk to you.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
As ever.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see you soon. Good luck with CGI.